This video is going to be about the book of Hosea and how it relates to the end times, which I think we're very close to, actually, even at the very door. Let's go over it. We'll start in Hosea chapter 2, verse 9. Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. And I will also cause all her mirth to cease, and her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she hath said, These are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers, and forgat me, saith the Lord. So, what is he talking about here? Well, I think Hosea and Amos were talking in the time when Assyria was about to come and, um, you know, do bad things, take over, take the people of Israel exile, and you know things weren't going to go very well for Israel. And this echoes also how it's going to be, in the end times, as we know, as prophecy points to. Israel is going to go through a very bad time in the end, but as we're about to read, it's going to get better for good. It's going to be the final time that it happens, and then it's going to be good forever after that. But so now we see we see there it's going to be pretty bad devastation. It's I will destroy her vines, her fig trees, wherefore she has said, These are my rewards my lovers have given me. The beasts of the field shall eat them. The land's going to be devoured. The people, probably a lot of the people, are going to suffer, and it's not a time that people they should be looking forward to for sure. But let's talk about the restoration. And therefore, behold, well, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence in the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And in that day, saith the Lord, Thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt no more call me Baali. For I will take away the names of Baali out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. Um, and in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, with the fowls of heaven, with the creeping things of the ground. I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and I will make them to lie down safely. So when is this? This is at the end of it, right? There's going to be a destruction, devastation, and at the end of it, there's going to be restoration, final restoration. You will no more call me Ishi, or you will call me Ishi, which is my husband, my lover, or my man. Baali is my master. It's a slave to master relationship. So you're going to go from a slave, servant master or relationship to a husband wife relationship. I will betroth thee unto me forever. I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies. Right? It's going to be, I will give her her vineyards from thence in the valley of Achor for a door of hope. She shall sing there as in the days of her youth. Yeah, it's going to be like the good old days is what he's really talking about. It's going to be pretty good. It's going to be great. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord. And it shall come to pass in that day I will hear, saith the Lord. I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people, and they shall say, Thou art my God. Yeah, so it's going to be final, complete restoration. An interesting aspect of this is, and how you know it's the very end of the end, is it says there in verse 18 of chapter 2, says, I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and I will make them to lie down in safety. Um, that's talking about it's going to be the end of war. The war, war in the earth is going to be over. We got a few places where Scripture talks about that. Let's go to Micah chapter 4, 3. Micah chapter 4, verse 3. And he shall judge among the people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. And nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. So it's, well, we can even go, we can start at chapter 4. But in that last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Many nations shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth out of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. So there's your, what did it say there in Hosea 2, verse 18? I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth. There's going to be, what's going to happen is the world's going to turn against Israel in the very end days. And I mean, the entire world. It's going to be bad. We're not talking about, just a little bit of, calamity here. We're talking, this is the end time deal. This is the final show. But, God's going to end it. God is going to end it because nobody else is going to be able to do it. They're going to be completely devastated, and God's going to come in, and he's going to break all those nations. And as we can see, and this is actually a very real thing, they're going to beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. So what are they doing here? They're taking all these weapons of war and they're turning them into tools of agriculture. Because in the kingdom comes after that. After that final battle, the kingdom comes, and it's going to be a time of great nourishment. The land is going to produce abundantly. I mean, it's going to go from the worst days in existence that's ever been on the planet to the best days there's ever been on the planet. It's going to be a drastic change, very quickly. We can see this. We can see this as well, and we can see this in Isaiah chapter 2, starting off in verse 3. It's almost identical to Micah. And many people shall go and say, Come, yea, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, and he shall judge among the nations. He shall rebuke many people. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Almost identical to what Micah chapter 4 said and Hosea chapter 2 says. There's going to be this final battle. There's going to be a final 7 years, and at the end of that 7 years, it's going to be this. God's going to come in, intervene, destroy the nations, because they all plot this one last time, and It's just the final thing. You can't just keep repeating the cycle for thousands and thousands of years. There's an end to it, and this is the end to it. And actually, in Ezekiel chapter 39, we see um, we actually see this in real time. There's Ezekiel chapter 39. So if you read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, it speaks of this coalition of nations and this final battle. So you can read that if you want. And then if you go on to Ezekiel 39, it talks about the destruction, God destroying that army. And if you read the end of it, it says, verse 9, and they shall dwell in the cities of Israel, and they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the buckler, and the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves and the spears. They shall burn them with fire 7 years. Why are they doing this? Because they're turning them into tools for agriculture. There's no more war anymore. They're going to take all these weapons that all these enemies, Gog's army, came down with. They come down into I think the Jezreel Valley is probably where it is, and God destroys them in that valley, all of them, and then Israel's going to go and take all these weapons, and probably the saved Gentile nations as well, the people that didn't, weren't in support of this war that the nations wanted to bring on Israel. And they're going to take all these weapons that are left over and turn them into tools for agriculture, because the kingdom will be there at that point. It says they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoil them, and rob those that rob them, saith the Lord. So it's like, I think it's basically saying, hey, you don't need to take you don't need to cut down any trees to make tools or anything like that. Just take all those weapons and burn them. And you say, well, what is this 7 years? I think it's at the beginning of the kingdom. I don't think it can be at the beginning of the final 7 years, because that wouldn't make any sense. There's the remnant of believers, the remnant of the Jewish people are supposed to flee in the middle of that 7 years, at 3.5 years. So they're not going to be just going out burning weapons for 7 years. That makes zero sense. It only really, we know that we're very close to the beginning of this final 7 years. So it's not like there's 7 more years until this starts. We're very close to it. What's going to happen is this is going to be the culmination at the end of this 7 years. In the first 7 years of that kingdom, they're going to burn these weapons. They're going to make agricultural tools. It's the only thing that really makes sense. I believe Ezekiel 38 and 39 is it's Armageddon. It's the final battle. So, yeah, long story short, summary, there's going to be devastation and destruction on Israel and the land of Israel and Jewish people worldwide for the better part of that 7 years. But at the end of it, God intervenes and puts an end to the cycle of just war, peace. It's going to be one final war, and then it's going to be peace in the kingdom, and there's not going to be any more war. So, yeah, that's Hosea and the end times, and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.